Most people think Avios is just British Airways points. And that's the first mistake, because Avios isn't a loyalty program. It's a currency. And that currency can live in 5 different airline programs. And each one of them prices flights differently, which means the same Avios can buy you very different flights depending on where you book. And once you understand that, everything changes. So if you're collecting Avios in the UK, normally from Nectar, Amex credit cards, shopping portals, whatever, it almost always ends up in British Airways Club. And that's fine. That's where most people keep their Avios. But what most people don't realize is that you don't have to use your Avios there, because British Airways is only one of the Avios programs. You also have Iberia Plus, Aer Lingus Air Club, Qatar Privilege Club, and Finnair Plus. And you can move Avios in between them for free. Same points, different pricing. That is the trick. And here's why that matters. Let's say you want to fly long haul in business class. If you go straight to British Airways, you will often see higher Avios prices and normally very high cash charges as well. Let's talk about Iberia and why distance matters, okay? Let me explain something important about this program. They have a distance-based Avios chart, so every flight falls into a distance band. And that band has a fixed Avios price. For example, there is a band that costs 40,500 Avios one way in business class on off-peak dates. Inside that band are lots of different routes. If your route sits inside that distance band, you get that price, no matter where in the world you're flying from. That's why Iberia is so powerful for people who understand how distance charts work. And on top of that, Iberia usually charges much lower taxes than British Airways for long-haul flights. Now, Aer Lingus. This is one of the cleanest Avios plays if you're going anywhere near Ireland. Aer Lingus flies direct from cities like New York, Boston, Chicago, and Washington to Dublin. And on off-peak dates, you can book economy flights for just 13,000 Avios one way. That's a full transatlantic flight for basically the same Avios some people use to go from London to Spain. And if you want business class, Aer Lingus is also very competitive, especially from the US East Coast. So if Ireland works for you and your trip, Aer Lingus is one of the best ways to use your Avios. Now let's talk about Qatar. Qatar is part of the Avios family, and they have one of the best business class products in the world. The Q Suites. Private doors, lie flat beds, some seats even turn into double beds. On their saver level, you can fly from the US to Doha for 70,000 Avios one way in business class. That's 12 or 13 hours in one of the best cabins in the sky for a price that, compared to the cash price, is honestly ridiculous. Now, availability can be tight far in advance, but Qatar often releases seats closer to departure. So it's always worth checking again and again and again. You might find one. Qatar Avios can also be used to book JetBlue. And on certain short routes, especially from the northeast of the US to parts of the Caribbean, you can book JetBlue Mint, which is their business class, for around 26,000 Avios. But here's the important bit. Most of these JetBlue awards do not show up online on the Qatar website anymore. Even when they exist, you usually have to call Qatar's call center and ask them to search manually, or you can do your own research, find the flights, and then you can book through the chat. So it's a real sweet spot, but it's a hidden one. You only get it if you know how to ask. Finnair, where the weird magic lives. Finnair is the newest Avios program, and it has some very interesting partner charts. One of the best ones right now is Hawaii. If you book Alaska airline flights through Finnair Plus, you can get from the continental US to Hawaii for 13,500 Avios one way and about $6 in tax. You cannot book this online. You have to call Finnair and ask them to book Alaska Airlines for you. Again, it's a sweet spot that exists, but only for people who know where to look. Finnair also has charts for domestic US flights on American Airlines and Alaska, but some of those prices changed recently, especially on American Airlines. So you always need to check which partner you are booking. And yes, British Airways still matters. I'm not saying BA is useless. British Airways is great for reward flight saver pricing on their own flights and things like domestic flights in Japan on JAL or short Qantas hops in Australia. But the mistake is thinking BA is the only place Avios should ever be used. It isn't. And here's the simple version. You earn Avios wherever it's easiest for you. In the UK, that's usually British Airways Club via Nectar, Amex, or any other credit cards that you may have, shopping portals. But when you want to book, you will stop and ask, which Avios program prices this route best? So move the Avios, book the flight on the right place, and fly cheaper. Same points, smarter strategy. If you want a place where people share these sweet spots and we show you how to actually book them step by step, you've got a free Fly Smart Club community and the link is just below this video. And if this helped, hit the subscribe button because once you see Avios this way, you'll never unsee it. See you in the next one.